So today's session is finishing up our conversation about documenting processes using the process tools inside of TouchStone. So I'm going to go over here to the 4 key functions, and I'm going to choose a process. Let's go to this one, same as last week. So last week we discussed work plans and checklists. And then today we're going to go through the rest of the templates. And I'm going to explain to you technically how you use those tools. And more importantly, what are reasons why you would use them, how to make decisions about whether these tools are useful or necessary when you're documenting. So just a short recap, we are now on the process tools page. This little breadcrumb trail will always show you where that process is on the 4 key functions. So I know this is in doing the business because I see it here on what we call a breadcrumb trail. I can also go to this icon right here and be able to see which job description it's been linked to. So it's like a circle showing you the connections inside of TouchStone. You have 4 key functions to the process, to the job description. And from the face of this process, we can always tell where it is in any area of TouchStone. Editing process titles, super easy. I'm just clicking right here and clicking here, and then that opens to edit. This is the first tool on top called a work plan. And last week, if you missed last week, there'll be a recording available for it. But we talked about how to build good work plans, what a good work plan looks like. We also talked about how a work plan can be kind of the guide for the rest of the process. So as we get into these other tools inside of a work plan, you can show the connections, like here's this script and when we use it, here's this form and when and how it's filled out. And those are all links back to tools within this process. Then we talked about checklists being a good management tool, a way to track work that's happening, and then always making sure that you have an intention for your checklist. So what is the reason that it exists? Why are you using it as a manager, which then helps guide your employees in its use. Third tool down here is called a script, and I've got 4 scripts right here. To make a script, I just hit this little plus sign, and all the tools work the same way. You hit the plus sign to make work plan, checklist, any of them. Then I'll put in my script title. I like to put the word script at the end of this, but again, that's just like a personal preference. You don't need to like say in the title what the tool is, because wherever it's looked at inside a TouchStone, the title of what it is always on top of it. Let's call this example script. Then you put in the objective, the purpose of the script. That's what these objectives are. The purpose, I think, is, unless it's completely obvious, I think it's great to fill in these objectives, because if your employees look at them or you look at them as an employee, you'll be able to tell, why does this script exist? What am I doing here with it? What is it for? So now I've just added this script, and you can see it down here at the bottom. This is what it looks like when a script hasn't been built yet. So to start to build it, I just hit add script item. So I'm going to see the prompt here and then the script. The prompt is, what am I saying, or how am I saying it? When am I saying it? Why am I saying it? So this gives like sets the situation. So this could be, keeping it easy, let's just say this is the greeting, and then I would save it. And then I go down here to the script section, and this is what you say. Hi, thanks for calling. So the prompt is directions, and then the script is the actual words you would use, what you're saying. You can also think of this like an acting script. If any of you have ever seen a script written for a play, it always has like what we would call the prompt kind of written in red or around the actual words that were spoken. That's what this is. The more you can put here in the prompts, the better, because you are giving the person the reasons why, and then you're giving them the words. So then I'd go to add another script item. And then this is my second prompt. So you put in, if this is a conversational script, you put in what's the next section of the conversation. So find out why they're calling. Then here is the words. So how can I help you? This toolbar is very similar to the other, well, it's exactly similar to the other scripts that you saw in work plans, or other toolbar items that you saw in work plans and checklists. You can make hyperlinks in scripts, although I would say that's not really necessary because we're not linking to something else that's done here, or something else that's used. It's more direct than that. It's like, this is what you're saying and why you're saying it, but you can do hyperlinks. You can also put in images, but here again, I don't think images are really useful here because I'm not looking at something and gaining any information from that. This is more about the words that are spoken. Save. And then I would just continue on, add script item, save. Every time the conversation goes from one point to another or from one decision to another, then just add another script item. What you don't want to do is have the whole script inside of one script item. So I have a bunch of things in this prompt and then a bunch of things in the script, because this template is guiding someone through a conversation. These script items can be reordered just by dragging them up and dragging them down. All the tasks and everything inside these tools, same thing, drag and drop. In fact, I can also drag tools around. So here's this. I can move these up and down. So if I have a lot of scripts in a process, I could put these kind of like in workflow order, like when they're used, what's used first, second, third. So now let's talk about some different types of scripts and how and when you would use them. So there are basically two types of scripts that I see. One is a conversational script. So this is kind of a conversational script. A conversational script means it's a conversation that somebody is having. It usually starts with a greeting of some kind and then goes all the way down to the resolution or the end of the conversation. So what you're doing is you're documenting the conversation. Now, before I get much more into this, I just want to say that nobody expects anybody to memorize this for word by word and say it exactly the same way. I mean, there might be some scripts like that where you just have to insist that the words are said in a certain way. But generally speaking, these are guides for your employees. And I think it's important for you to say that ahead of time to them, that I'm not expecting you to say every word verbatim. You're supposed to memorize this, yes, but you're memorizing the why of it. So why would I say it this way? What's the direction I want to take the conversation in? And then these scripts, these pieces here go in the person's own vernacular, their own words. So in a conversational script, you're going to start somewhere, you're going to end somewhere. So I think it's important to think about where you want to end before you would even start this script. So what is the result of this conversation? This is called providing a solution script. So it kind of says it in the title, but you can also put it here. So this is the end of the conversation. I've made a sale. I've booked an appointment. I've completely resolved their customer complaint. So if you put these in, then these purposes or these objectives, then I think it helps whoever is learning this to know why they're using this script. And it also helps the person writing it to be always focused on what the end result of it is, what the end goal. So we go from greeting and then we go to the different parts. So we're going to ask, what is their version of the situation? Listen. So in the prompts, you can even put in ways you want the person to be thinking or acting, or what should their tone be, or what should they be the aggressor in it, where they're trying to get their point across first before the other employee or participant in the script says anything. Then it keeps going on. Confirm that you understand the issue, which is always important in a conversation. Can I repeat back to you what I've heard? that always diffuses people and makes sure that whoever's trying to resolve the complaint is really listening, but then the customer feels heard. So then it just keeps going on to the next part, all the way to the end, where hopefully you get to the end of the conversation. All along the way in a conversational script like this one, the person who's talking or resolving, an employee, is trying to work someone through something. In a sales script, same thing. You're trying to work someone through to the end of the conversation. Now, that's not insisting that, or it's not saying that the customer doesn't take it off in a weird direction. That definitely happens, because not every conversation is the same. But when you have a script like this and the person saying it knows the end result, or knows that in this particular section they need to confirm they understand the issue, then that can pull the customer back to the conversation that you're intending to have. So people go off on weird directions, but my job as the employee is to pull them back to get to this next point where I'm sure I understand what their complaint is. So the script itself can be a tool that's used by the employee to get them back to the end result of the conversation. Another thing that happens is I'm imparting knowledge along the way in a conversational script. So if this was a sales script, for example, maybe one of the prompts would be explain the product, or make sure the customer understands the value of the product. So then in that script side here, I'm given this crafty language to explain the product, explain the benefits of it. And it's coming out of my own words, but I'm imparting knowledge. So here's the biggest point about all of this. A script can be just an incredible tool to train with because of the things I've been saying. It helps the employee know what to say. It helps them to impart knowledge that they have, and it helps them to direct a conversation in a good path. This imparting knowledge idea, with a good script, you can take the education and the experience of a certain salesperson, say, that maybe has garnered that education over 10 years of time selling a product, and you can take the gems of what that person does and says and build them into a script, and then teach people how to say it that way. And it really, it cuts that training time. It cuts that experience time. Not all the way, but certainly bigger than if it didn't exist. So a conversational script, that's a certain type of script. Another type is a FAQ script, or it's called also a response script. So in a FAQ script, the prompt is the question: what to say when the product is damaged, wait and listen. And then the script is the answer. So you can put the question directly in the prompt. When a customer says their product is damaged, then this is what you say. And then you go to the next one. What to say tactfully to let the customer know a mistake was made on their end, which we all know is very difficult to do. When the customer's wrong, we know it. How do we tell them that in a way that isn't going to inflame the situation? What to say when we are at fault. So it just goes, this is more of a response script, I would say, rather than an FAQ script. But if this was a frequently asked questions script, then again, the prompt could literally be the question the customer's asking, and the script is the answer. So a great way to use these response scripts or FAQ scripts is to think about the process itself, customer complaints, and just ask yourself, what are the if-thens of this conversation that we're having? Or literally think about the conversational script, the providing a solution script, and say, this is the best path of the whole conversation from beginning to the end. Where does it go off track? Where do we get these weird off questions? Or where do we get these examples of ideas people might have? And it goes way off the script. Then think about the FAQ script or the response script and add all those variables to the script. So in a way, it's like the conversational script is the best way the conversation could go. And then the FAQ script handles all the variables of that. So when it doesn't go that way. So when someone is saying, well, why is it so expensive? Or someone's saying, you know, you're the one who damaged my product. Or why isn't the warranty going to cover this? These are questions that we don't want to bring up in the providing a solution script, because we don't want to respond to things like that unless the customer brings it up. But when they do, these are the appropriate answers. A great way to work, I think, if you're very customer service driven and you get a lot of customer complaints maybe, or other things related to customers, then this technique might work. But it works really great for sales scripts. So you have this conversational script, this providing a solution script going in this great order. Everybody's trained on this. And then as a sales team, we're always focusing on the response scripts, the FAQ script. And what's happening is everybody knows what it looks like now, what all the FAQs or the responses are. And then we add to this. So as a sales manager, you're saying to your team, what other, or Tom, you made that great deal the other day. I know that was a difficult customer. What worked for that customer? What worked for you in explaining and getting through their objections? And then you all discuss it. And if there's anything new to add to the FAQ script or the response script, then you add it right then and there. What you're doing as a manager in that moment is you're focusing on the process. You're focusing on making the process better, by which all of your salespeople get better. All right, so next tool down, this is called uploaded files. And what the uploaded files tool is for is simply, it allows you to take documents, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF documents, and upload them to the process. So I'm just going to give it a title, and then I hit create uploaded file. Now I'll see my new file right down here. And I see this field. So to upload the file, you can click right on this and then go to it goes directly to your computer and you can find it and upload it. Or you can drag a file like this one. And then I just let go and boom, it saves automatically. There's nothing more to click here. It saves. If I want to view this file, I can hit view file, and then TouchStone's going to launch whatever software this was created in, or that file was created in. So it could be Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF. TouchStone's going to launch that software, like Word, and then it's going to show you the file. If you make a change to the file, like so I'm in Word now and I'm making edits to this file, those changes, those edits are not happening in TouchStone. They're happening in Word or in Excel. So if I change the file, I have to save it back down to my computer, and then I have to re-upload it by dragging it back down into this field. Then TouchStone takes the new file and replaces the old one with it. So this is the only thing to remember really about uploaded files. If you're viewing those files, you're not in TouchStone at that point. You're in that software it was created in. You need to save it, re-upload it. Once the file is here, you can't print share it. You can move it. Here's the icons right here. And then you can archive it, same as before, or you can delete it. Again, if you want to view it, this button, view file. So what the uploaded files tool is great for is when you've got something that's in a particular software format and you want to keep it in that software format. So Excel is an obvious, or spreadsheets are obvious for this, because none of the tools here do calculations like a spreadsheet would. So if you have something that is used in this process, the process that you're in, and you need a spreadsheet for that, then it has to be an uploaded file. It's also great for PowerPoint presentations. So I don't see, I felt like 20 years ago, there was so many PowerPoint presentations. Now it's kind of, people are using other things for those. But if you do have a PowerPoint presentation, again, none of these other tools here do that. So it would need to be an uploaded file. A PDF manual of some kind that's, hundreds of pages long, like a product description manual or anything like that you want to keep as a PDF. Again, that would be a good uses for the uploaded file tool. If the document is 1 or 2 pages, if it's a form, pretty much any type of Word document, I really think that content is better here in the document tool, which we're going to get to in a moment. You can keep it as a Word document if you have a particular reason for that, but it's better as a document. So any type of something written like a letter or an email, a form of some kind, a list of things, paragraphs of information that, again, isn't hundreds of pages long like a PDF manual would be. All of that is better in the document tool. And the reason is, if I have it here as an uploaded file, I just click this. I have to hit view file to see it. First of all, I have to launch. Word launches, and then I see it. Then if I make a change to it, again, I've got to save it and then re-upload it. So if you have the choice of cutting and pasting it into the document tool, then definitely do that. But everything else, the other examples I talked about, obviously need to be uploaded files. At the end of the day, what's great is if everything that the person who is doing the customer complaints, everything they need is in this process. That's the ideal situation. So if I have something related to customer complaints that's a spreadsheet or it's a PDF manual, I know the most current version of that is going to be here in TouchStone in this process. Okay, so moving on. This is the document tool. So same idea. To create a document, you click, then you put in the name, and then you hit create. Again, it's great in the objective. If you put the why of this, why does this document exist? Why is it here? Again, sometimes it says it in the name and you don't need to bother with that, but sometimes it doesn't. So use that why field. Then this is my document. When I click, then it opens. So this is like a blank Word document, basically. All this functionality is pretty much the same. You do have the ability to insert images. If you have an image that's 8.5 by 11 or bigger, I think it's great in the document tool, and then hyperlinked maybe to the work plan up here to where it's used, or what task it's related to, or what objective it's related to. The reason is, if you take a huge file, like 8.5 by 11 picture, and if you make it smaller, it's gonna be too small to see what's going on in the document. If I put that into a task, then it's just going to make my work plan like really big, and there's going to have to be scrolling to see from the one task I'm in to the next. You can do it if you want to, but again, I think it's better here, because then I just click it and I see this huge image and I can see it very clearly. And it's linked to the work plan over here according to how I use it. You can also create tables. So this is the table building. And I can choose like my rows and my cells right here, just expanding these to the number that I want. And then I just click that. And then here's my table. Once I'm in the table, if I just clicked in this field, then I get this row here. So I can highlight rows. I can add more, delete, all the table building that you're used to. So once this table's here, then I can put headers in it if I want to. You can also cut and paste things in from Word into here. You can cut and paste tables. You can cut and paste text. This also has the hyperlink tool that you can hyperlink to other things. Then when you're done, you just hit save, and then you've got this table here. This is another use of the document tool. So this is like a list. It's a bullet pointed set of objectives. This is customer satisfaction guidelines, and these are all of the different guidelines for customer satisfaction. So this type of information sometimes in processes is necessary because you're giving even more study material or more understanding of why what you're saying in the work plan, why the steps of doing customer complaints in a certain way is, really important. Or you have this kind of overarching way that you want employees to view things or say things or understand the steps that they're taking. So it wouldn't get like embedded into a script or into a work plan. It would kind of stand alone and be something that you can point to. So use this document tool for anything that doesn't fit into the other tools for whatever reason. Have it be a place where you keep a list of things you want people to know, paragraphs of information describing your company objective or policies or your management philosophy. And know that when it's unlike uploaded files, when you just click on it, then boom, there it is. Sometimes I see processes like the management philosophy, for example, where I'll show you, where if I click this management philosophy, 2 clicks, and here I am at the philosophy. Now this exists here for if this is assigned to someone, then they can save and complete it and save it as something. But it's nice because it just sits right there, and this is for everybody to read. Okay. One more back. Under the document tool is our custom form tool. So you saw me use this to kind of create this kind of table. And sometimes this is preferable than the custom form tool for whatever reason. But anytime you do put a table in into a document, if it is something that you want filled out, sometimes tables are just a way to organize information better. But if it is something you want completed or filled out, then decide if it could be put into a custom form, because the custom form has fields in it that don't shift around. It's they're pretty solid, and it also has other abilities where you can do like multiple choice and drop down. It has more extensive functionality than just a flat table like this one. So to build a custom form, I just click the header, same thing. Custom form, you put in the name of it, you hit create, and then here's the form. So this is the toolbar row for the custom form. If I want to make a short answer field, I click this, and then it's asking me the title of the field. So let's say name, maybe, like I want somebody's name. Then I hit save, and then you see that short answer field. Short answer is 1 or 2 words. Next over is the paragraph field. So this is for multiple sentences, multiple words. So this could be comments, notes, and I save. And so then this field, when someone's completing this on the dashboard, which is the intention of a custom form, that it's completed on the dashboard, then this field will expand and allow me to add text to it. Where we are now is where it's being built. So here's where we're creating it. Where it's used is over on the dashboard. With the paragraph field, I can also ask questions like, why did they complain? Why are they saying this? So this is a question, and then they fill in the why. You can ask questions and then say, if no, why? So I could do like a drop down, like a yes, no, and then if no, why? And then this allows the person to fill out the why they answered it a certain way. You can do multiple choice. So I click multiple choice. This is going to be the question, because with multiple choice, there's only one right answer. Like you can only click one of these choices. So A, B, C. With these little icons here to the right, I can add more choices or I can delete choices. So I hit the plus sign here. I can also drag my choices around up and down, or again, I can delete them. So let's save this. So then you can see question and then the different choices. Check boxes. This is if there's more than one choice here. So if I have a series of things that need to be ticked off, or there's more than one answer, checkbox is good for that, checklist. So this could be the question or the list of things I need to check off. So you get the idea. This is has much more functionality than the checklist tool up here, this one that we saw last week. If you have just a flat checklist where there's just a series of things and they just tick it off as they do it, and it's as simple as that, then great. But if there's more complexity to it, where you have multiple things that are happening in the form, then obviously the custom form is better for that. And then lastly, here's drop down. So this is good for yes, no questions, although you can have multiple choices here. If I was just going to do a yes, no, then I'd probably delete this one and then hit save. So here's the question, the drop down yes, no. And then here's where you can do things like the why, like if no, why. So I just drug this from up there down here. Even in these check boxes, you can ask questions under there too, like if all these aren't ticked off, then why? So you just think through the information that you want to gather from the employee and then construct the form. You saw me drag these up and down to reorder it. If I wanted to edit anything that I've already added, I just click and then it's going to open here in edit mode. So I could delete it from here, or I can add more to it. So the custom form tool is great when you need to collect information about what happened when somebody was doing that work. Now, in some businesses, you can have maybe project management software, or you have customer management software. And let's say within those different types of software, you have forms like this already that you use and you're quite happy with it. Well, then it doesn't also need to be in TouchStone, clearly. But what would be in TouchStone is the steps on using that form. So we would still need a customer complaint process, but maybe in one of the tasks, rather than saying fill out this form, we'd say fill out this form in XYZ CRM, and you create a hyperlink to that. In fact, you can create a hyperlink to the exact page where they fill it out. So in this particular process in TouchStone, the employee's not coming here to fill the form out. They're coming here to learn about how to handle customer complaints. And they're trained on the fact that there's a form inside your other software that they need to fill out. For other things that you don't have other software programs for, this custom form tool can be great for that. If you have HR things like performance review, the delegation exercise, which we're going to talk about today, one-on-one meetings that we discussed last week, problem resolution things for managers. So management tools, management information, the custom form tool is great for that, because just like you would collect information from a customer complaint, you want to collect information from what's happening with your employees. So management tools are great. HR things are also great. Key performance indicators, things your employees need to collect statistics on and then report back to you. So think of this form as a way to collect information about activities that are happening, even with management and strategic type things, have it be in one place so the manager's manager can then review it. Another way to use the custom form tool is to create tests. So that's what this is. This is a customer complaint new employee test. So here we're saying, how does the customer complaint conversation start? So this is testing the employee's knowledge of how do complaints come in? How do I know that there is one? What are examples of things not to do? What are the steps when the conversation is over? So what steps do they take? And then you could do trick questions like, do you always inform the manager about the complaints? What are warranty issues? So open-ended questions, I think, are always great for employee tests, because clearly you're requiring the employee to think about it and not just tick off multiple choice boxes. So these open-ended questions that they have to write about what you're asking them, then you really know what they've internalized and what they haven't. even if they can go back and look at the work plan and know where the conversation started, you're still testing their knowledge and their ability to navigate the process, because people forget things. So that's one of the reasons why documentation is so important and useful, because if I forgot something, rather than asking 10 people about it, I could go to TouchStone and find the answer. Next tool down is called a policy note. And what a policy is, I'm going to click on this to show you. A policy is a rule, something legal, something compliance driven, related to the process itself. So we're in the customer complaint process right here. And this is a policy related to customer complaints. It's related to our warranty and guarantee policy, which is part of this process. So oftentimes with businesses that come to us that are in what we call SOP chaos, like processes all over the place, they oftentimes will have manuals, huge manuals, just full of policies. And some industries are worse than others, because in some industries you're really beholden to these compliance things that are really important. But oftentimes it's like just masses of amounts of information all in a big manual. What's difficult about that is it's an employee can't really navigate that very well. You could require that they sit and read them all, but they're only going to remember maybe 5% of everything that they've read if they're a really smart person and retain information well. So what we've done in TouchStone is we take the policy related to the process and we put it in the process itself. So all the work that goes on in your business, any policy that's related to that work, that policy should exist inside of the work itself, because that's where it makes sense to me as an employee. This warranty and guarantee policy may make no sense to me at all unless I'm looking at it in context of customer complaining about something, or me explaining the details of the warranty to somebody. And why, after 6 years and the terms have not expired, why is that an important policy? So this is the policy note template. To make a policy, same as the other tools, I just click the little plus sign, then I put the policy name. Make the name kind of short and sweet, because if I make this long, then sometimes I'm starting to explain the policy in the title of it. I hit create policy. You can also put the why here, which I think is really great for policies, because if I don't understand why this policy is important, I'm going to forget it easier, and I'm going to not be able to enforce it as well. If someone's explaining to a customer something that they don't actually believe in, or they don't understand why, then they're not going to be able to do that in an authentic way. So the policy itself, everyone should always know the why of it. Why is it important? So here you've got the from and the to field. This should never be people's names. It should always be from management, from sales manager to positions it pertains to. Then you can put in the date, you can put in the effective date. Sometimes the date of the policy is different than the effective date, because you want to create the policy on a certain date and then make it effective 5 days later. Then in the meantime, when it's first created, you could go to the dashboard in TouchStone and you can assign it to every employee that it pertains to, and then give them a certain amount of time to review it before the effective date. You can say new or revised policy, and this is where the statement goes itself. This is where the text of the policy goes, and then save it. Simple as that. So we talked a little bit about why policies are where they are in TouchStone, and how relevant that is to when the work itself is being done. Another great way to use policies is for change management. So what that means is, if I have an issue going on with a whole department, with a team of people, with the whole company, either an issue that has been created by me unintentionally, or an issue that's created by a manager who was doing things really poorly, or an incident that happened, or a way that customers are being treated that I want to change, anything like that, dirty dishes in the sink, whatever it is. If employees they don't understand the why, they don't know that this is a problem, they don't know how to change it themselves, you can build a policy. Build a policy that directly addresses that issue. Put it into the process that it makes sense in. So however this comes about. So cleaning the kitchen, and this is just a dumb example, but you get the point because it's simple. If I have a cleaning the kitchen process and there's dirty dishes constantly in the sink, I developed this policy that says there will no one is allowed to leave their dirty dishes in the sink. These are the reasons, this is the why of that. And then I send that out to all employees and I make them read it and then sit and complete it. So I have evidence that they've read it. Well, now everybody knows, right? That they know the issue and they know how it needs to be changed and why. Once that happens, 75% of the people are going to stop doing it because you've addressed it and it's clear. The remaining 25%, well, that becomes an ongoing management issue. But as a manager, I'm not starting with this. What do they know why dirty dishes are bad? Or did they read the policy? Do they know why how it affects other people? I know they know that because they read the policy and they read the why. So then I could say, hey, what's up with this policy? What is your feeling about that? Why is it that you want to keep leaving the dirty dishes? Now we're really talking about what matters, right? And we can address that. We say 3 strikes and you're out 3 times with an employee. And if they still don't change after that amount of effective management, they probably have way bigger problems than what's going on with the dirty dishes. So use policies for what I call change management, changing things. Last 2 tools here are for uploading video and audio. So to upload a video, easy, I just click and then I put in the name of the video. I love how I'm naming things today. Then I hit create video and then I get this field. So very similar to the uploaded files tool. Then I'm going to take the video and I'm going to drag it into this field and then it automatically uploads just like you saw the uploaded files do. So videos are really great if you can show in visual representation of the work you're describing in the process. There's a great tool that I use often called Loom, and it's a Google plugin. I'm just clicking on it, and it's not going to let me use it because my browser needs to be uploaded. If you see this little error message down here. But anyway, this is Zoom or Loom, L-O-O-M. Loom is free. You get 5 minutes in the free version, and you can capture your screen movements. So if this was working, Loom would launch and I could click around on whatever it is I'm demonstrating. So I could open up our CRM, or I could go to Facebook and go to blogs and show how to insert something. Or I could open up a spreadsheet and say, click here and then fill in these fields and then save it here. So it's recording my screen movements and it's also recording my words as I'm speaking about it. Then I hit save on Loom. And you'll have to trust me, it's as easy as this. I hit save on Loom, then I go to the video and I drag it just like we did this file. I drag the video right here, I let go, it bleeps for a few seconds, and then it's there. So videos, I think, are really great when you can show visually how something's supposed to work. And it's super easy to create something like that in Loom, or Camtasia is another one that we use. Camtasia is like a more robust video video capture recording system. It's if you want to do longer, more expansive videos with more functionality. I kind of like this free version of Loom, even though it's just 5 minutes, because it requires me to get very focused on what I'm saying. So I'm not saying lots of extra things, over describing it. I'm getting right to the point. I open up Loom. I'm like, click here, go here, do this, do that. My 5 minutes is up, save, upload. Then if I want to do something else related to the same process even, I do it 5 minutes again. Click here, go here, then do this, boom, upload it. Even if I have down here, I have 5 videos all about the customer complaint process, I kind of like that better than having a 30-minute video. And the reason is people can see things in sections. So they see the first 5 things that happen and then the second. Now, it doesn't always work always for every process this way. Sometimes it is better to have longer videos. But for the most part, maybe 80% of the time, I think this works rather well. Another way to think about it is to go to the work plan and to capture a video or create a video based on the work plan. So this doesn't really lend itself to a visual interaction, but if the process did, I could go here and say, this is how you gather all the information. Then I could say, this is how you locate the script. This is how you determine if it's a warranty issue. I'm speaking about it. I'm clicking around on the screens. Then I'm done with it. Save, drag to the video tool. And now I've got a cool video. So get creative with your videos. First of all, ask yourself, does this process lend itself? Is it visual? If the answer is no, well, then you're done. If the answer is yes, then think of an easy way to create a video. Don't make it some big Hollywood production where there's lots of editing and weird stuff you're doing. If you do that, then you're really invested in that video being that way. And what it does is it stops you from innovating sometimes. Like you don't want to change it because you don't want to change the video. I know that sounds silly, but when people get tied into productions like that's the kind of mindset that exists around it. So keep your videos short and simple and to the point. Get creative, like with your cell phones, like actually record something happening in the warehouse or record yourself talking about something. When you build your management philosophy, record yourself talking about it and why it's important, and then upload that to the video section. Have your managers do it for their departments for things that they think need a verbal interaction. Videos are wonderful, but they don't replace the need for a documented process in writing. So the work plan. You can't just run around shooting videos and be like, boom, the process is done, I'm finished. The reason is you can't thoroughly train someone in a video. You can enhance the training. You can make the training better. You can make it more interesting, but it doesn't replace the need for a work plan. Clearly, because if I'm on task 3 here and the video's running and I forget what you said about task 1 or 2, now I've got to rewind the video and rewatch it. And then I'm scribbling to make notes as you're talking. What's happening there? Like that's back to just training by talking. Next tool, last tool is our audio. So same idea. It's audio files, MP3 files without the video portion. Audio files are wonderful, and I won't go through how to do it, but it basically looks like this when you're finished. So it'll have this little audio file and then with a play button. Audio files are great when you have scripts. I think it just makes for a fantastic documented process that's really powerful if you do role plays of the scripts and then record those and then upload them to the process. So what I mean is like this providing a solution script, I can record an actual demonstration of this with an actual customer. Or you could do a role play of it where one person is playing, the customer and one person is playing the resolver. And then we record that and we upload the whole thing. You can do the FAQ scripts. So what's happening is we're kind of showing what we mean in the prompt. Like, how do you make it so it sounds like you're really being compassionate when the mistake was on their end? You can also do things like this, examples of how not to sound. So why are you saying to speak in a compassionate way when I'm telling the customer it's their fault? You could do an example of someone not doing that. And the minute a person hears that, then they get it, right? It's like the light bulbs go off. Why are we doing it this way and not this way? If there are no scripts in the process, if there's no verbal interaction or nothing people hear, then you just don't use this tool. So think about this in regards to all the tools. If the process isn't visual, then you don't use this tool. If the process doesn't have a policy or a rule related to it, then you don't use this tool. If there's no form, don't use this tool. So you can weed these out pretty quickly based on what the process is itself. Don't stretch to try to use one of these tools when it doesn't make sense. Okay, so that is our conversation about the process tools page and documenting processes. I just want to say again here that if it's your intention to have your employees helping you with the documentation, we will do trainings for you. We'll do one-on-one trainings, we'll do group trainings, and those employees don't necessarily need to know everything about TouchStone. They need to know the dashboard, and then they need to know how to document a process really well, and that's it. So the training is simplified from that perspective. The interface that they see is simplified for that matter. When they log in, it looks different if they're not admin users. If they're create users, it looks a little more expansive, but if they're read-only, it's super simple to navigate the interface of TouchStone. So I'm going to go here to the dashboard. So let's continue, we have about 10 minutes left. Let's continue our discussion about management processes. So we went through in one-on-one meetings. So all I did, if you didn't follow me, is I went here to the dashboard. And I have a control panel for this position. So this means this is the role I fill in the company. And when I click it, I'm going to all of my processes. So these are all the processes that are on my job description. Everything that has been linked to my box in the org chart over here, I see here. It looks a little different here because I've made groups out of all the processes. So this is the number one tip of the day. The control panel doesn't work very well if you haven't created groups out of the processes. If I'm an employee and I click here and I see the default list with 20 processes on it, I'm going to look at that and go, wow, what is happening here? Like, this is confusing and hard. That's just automatically how our brains work. But the minute you start to organize the processes, the minute you require your employees to organize their processes or your managers to work with those employees to do it, it all kind of brightens up a little bit because I can see here's all my management stuff here. Here's my checklist here. Here's my management checklist, my everyday checklist. Here's everything for customer service here. All my time management stuff, all my planning, and so on. So it's all listed here and organized. So one of the themes of this series of technical trainings that I really wanted to get across is that managers manage processes and not people. And when they manage that way, you create a game worth playing, you create vitality and interest in your processes, you change your business dramatically because your managers aren't running around trying to figure out how to make sure everyone's getting their work done. They're not managing problems and fires that are burning up all the time. They're methodically, for the most part, using processes to manage their people. Now, managers resist this if they've never done it this way before. But I'll tell you, if you can get past that wall, it will change their life. You will have taught that person something about how to manage people that they will use in every aspect of their life, that they'll take with them forever, because the chaos of life is a metaphor for this as well. Like, if I want my kids to clean the kitchen the way that I want them to, then I've got to show them how to do it, right? Then I've got to make sure they do it. So here are 6 management processes. It's actually 5 because this is the same process. This is just for an employee to use to prepare for their own meetings, and this is a manager. If you can get your managers to do these 5 things, if you do these 5 things yourself when you're filling the role as manager, light bulbs are going to start to go off. So we talked about one-on-one meetings and the value of that. Communicating with employees, checking in with them, reinforcing things, using processes to do all that, everything from the job description to communicate with them about. And then at the end of the year, there's this idea of a performance review where I review my employee on their processes, where I'm saying, these are this is the work that you do and the how you do it. And then let's talk about how you've done that over the year. That's the performance review. One critical thing that managers need in order to manage with processes is they need to know how to delegate. And that's what this is. So delegating without documented processes is advocating accountability. This is something, I'm quoting Michael Gerber all this week, but this is something he used to say regularly. Delegation means you need to delegate with a process. You need to delegate a clear step-by-step of what that person needs to do. Otherwise, you're just advocating accountability. You're just like shoving it off on people and saying, here, you go do that. Some managers are like that. You do it. I told you to do it. I said you should do it. Now it's your fault this happened. Other managers have a micromanagement tendency where if they don't trust anyone else and they're like, here you go, I don't want you to do that because then you're going to mess it up. And so suddenly I'm overwhelmed with all of this work that needs to get done and no one's helping me. So that's like the micromanaging manager. And some people are in between. There's a document in this management philosophy process, which says why things are important. Like the inability to delegate is one of the biggest problems managers have at all levels. Either they're refusing to do it because they don't trust anyone else to get it done. They're overtraining people where they're taking so much time and fixing mistakes and like, look over my shoulder for 6 months and watch me do this. And then maybe I'll trust you to do it yourself. Or they're just pushing it off, saying, you go do it, and then dealing with all the ramifications of that. It says, surround yourself with the best people you can find. So this is one of the things I like to point out to managers who say, well, I just can't find good employees to delegate to, and I can't delegate to that person because they don't have the skills to do this. And I'm never going to find someone to do it the way that I do it. All of that really points to not having a good recruiting and hiring process. If you can't bring good people in the door that have those minimum qualifications, well, of course, things are going to fall apart all over the place. Delegate authority. So have a delegation process. Give that employee the authority to do it. So train them well, have a documented process, and then step away. You got to step away and not interfere. So this just goes on with more kind of benefits. So this is the why, right? And sometimes we need a why, like why delegating in a certain way is, so important. This has got a few work plans on it. This is called delegation guidelines. So this is just like a step-by-step work plan on delegating and why delegating is important. You don't have to use this exactly as is. You can go in and edit it down. But again, what you're creating here is the why. Why are we talking about work delegation? Why is that important? There's another work plan here on missed accountability. So this is a place where managers fall apart because you delegate something, the employee doesn't do it, and then what do you do? You get mad at them or you just do it yourself. So what is a process for missed accountability? How do we deal with that when it comes up in a thorough way that doesn't create more and more missed accountabilities, but it creates a consequence for that? There's a good script in here on employee feedback. So we talked about the value of scripting today. If you can use a script like this to train your managers or to use yourself, you're imparting knowledge to them, right? You're maybe someone who hasn't even been a manager before. You're teaching them how to have a conversation about a missed accountability or how to have a conversation about the importance of delegation. And these are techniques. State why you are having this conversation. Some people don't even know that much. Like I sit down with a person and I just start launching in at them rather than saying, this is the purpose of the meeting. I asked you here to discuss this. This is the problem that's occurring. You always start with that. Describe what you know. People they get it all like mixed up in your mind and you're talking about your feelings about things. Describe what you know. I saw this when I told you this happened. So don't embellish things. Describe the consequences. There needs to be consequences. So this just goes through again and gives some of these techniques and understanding on how to do some basic things around employee management. There's a few documents in this, or this is the benefit, sorry. There's a few custom forms in this process. There's one here called the delegation exercise. This is a task delegation form, if that's necessary. So the employee, the manager, in other words, sits down and uses the form to delegate the work they're assigning to that employee. This isn't always necessary, but if you're dealing about more complicated things or something that is critical in nature, this can be a great form for managers to use because they know what they've delegated. They know what they want to have had accomplished. They fill it all out in a meeting. They save it back to TouchStone. Their manager can look at it to see that it was delegated properly. And then they have a communication tool to keep talking to the employee about it. Then there's this missed accountability form right here that's related to what happens when an accountability is missed. But the one I like the most is this called the delegation exercise. It's super simple. So when you tell your managers, I want you to delegate your work, or when you think to yourself, I need to delegate so I can have more time to work strategically, so I can have more time to build my business and not just do the work of it, go through this delegation exercise. So you list out work you can never delegate. All of us have this. And I think we mix up the work that we will never be able to delegate with work that maybe, oh, I could delegate this if I had a process for it. If I had a documented process that I could delegate whatever work I'm listing here. And then this work I can delegate right now. All of these three categories, they get mixed up in your mind. So if you can articulate them and think about them, then that's going to help you look at what you're actually doing every day and decide what to delegate. It'll absolutely help your managers because this work you'll never delegate, right? This work, you got to document those processes right now. This is what we mean when we say, if you document a process, you're going to create 5% more time. You're going to create more time. You delegate the process, now you have more time. You delegate, now you have even more time. And then work you can delegate right now. Well, clearly this is a no-brainer. You should just do it right now. So this delegation exercise really helps with the things we've talked about in organizational strategy. Because if I'm this person right here and I have some senior techs, but I'm still doing that work, or I'm the manager here, but I'm still doing bookkeeping and I'm still doing some of the reception work and I'm still doing customer service, well, that's a problem. So in order to get enough time to be an effective manager up here, that work needs to get delegated. The work that can be delegated needs to get delegated. And TouchStone helps you even more because there shouldn't be any work on this job description that can be delegated. It should be down here and down here. We say sometimes that managers are filling two boxes, really. You're this and you're this, or you're this and you're this. But the delegation exercise can help you section that work differently, work towards documenting the work of this position, and then truly backing out of it in a clear way. Next week, we are going to talk about a little bit more about public processes. And then mostly what we're going to talk about is account administration. So account administration is being redone right now. And by the time we meet next week, there'll be a new release on account administration over here. So we'll be looking at a new design. We'll be looking at some different functionality. The premise of it is the same. It's how you create users. It's how you restrict their access, things like that. But there's new functionality and it looks much prettier. So we'll be talking about that next week. The week after, we're going to be diving into all the details of the dashboard. So next week, account administration sometimes is a shorter session. So I might start to talk about process assignment, which happens here in the control panel. But then the following week will be the rest of what happens on the dashboard.